Hello and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Today we're trying something a bit different. So I'm launching a new mini-series which is called Surelytheend Talks. So whenever there's a topic I want to discuss, I will add it to Surelytheend Talks. Basically just a guitar vlog, just me chatting about whatever I've kind of uncovered that week or any struggles I've kind of been going through with the guitar, any changes, any new equipment, that kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully it goes well and you will like it. It's basically just me chatting about really nerdy shit with the guitar. So this week we're looking at picks. So for the longest time I've been using the same picks. I've been using them since I was about 15 and I've never really thought to change them. I've never really thought to do anything else or use anything else until recently, where I've been trying to improve my speed, improve my scale runs, improve my string skipping, that kind of thing. And I found that my picks are starting to basically get in the way. So with that in mind, I decided to experiment with some new pick shapes. Now, I haven't changed picks, as I say, in over a decade. So it was a bit daunting, but I thought for a $5, get a handful of picks, different shapes, different sizes, different thicknesses. We'll see how we go. I kind of knew I wanted to go thicker than what I had already. With that in mind, I went and got a handful of different gauges, different sizes, different shapes, different colors. I got a couple of Tortex picks, which were slightly thicker. I also got a nylon pick, a regular sort of tortoiseshell-esque one, just a plastic pick. And I got a couple of the Jazz 3s, both red and black, not knowing there was a difference when I bought them. So I tried all of them when I got home, and it quickly came down to two, and those were the Jazz 3s. And after sort of an evening of playing, switching between the two, seeing how they felt, I ended up with the black Jazz 3. And I was a bit surprised with that, because when I looked at it, I thought, this is a tiny pick with a tiny point. How is this going to benefit my playing? But under your finger, it felt quite nice. It felt like the tip of the pick was where you wanted it to be at any given point in your guitar playing, which was really handy for me, because the one complaint I had with my old pick was that the tip just never felt like it was anywhere near where I needed it at any given moment. And also the smaller shape actually really helped. When you hold a bigger pick, I guess, there's a lot of material that kind of sits above the thumb, which is great if you need the grip. But I was finding that I didn't really struggle for grip in terms of picking. So when I used the Jazz 3s, I was going through scales and stuff. I was just finding myself far more accurate with things like scale runs and string skips. Instantly fell in love. So I've already ordered a pack of 12 of them. I've also ordered the Kirk Hammett ones with the V cutout just to try them out and see what they're like. And also they apparently do Jazz 3s in Tortex, so I thought I'd order those to see if there's any tonal difference. Or if there's any playing difference. So if they're too thin and they move, then I'll probably just ditch that at that point. But as far as I'm aware, the Kirk Hammett ones are essentially the black ones, just with a little V cut out, and they're green. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, I changed an aspect of my playing that I hadn't even thought about for about 10 years. And I started to make gains, and I started thinking, actually, I should really look critically more at the gear I use, because occasionally I don't think it's the things that I think it is that are wrong with my playing. So I can sit and buy all the overdrives in the world, but if I'm not using the right pick, then it doesn't actually matter at all. We as guitarists, I think we get stuck to tradition a lot. Now, whether that's just through the guitars that we kind of buy or the ones we lust after, or even simple things down to the kind of strings and the kind of picks we use. You know, there'll be people who probably haven't changed the picks they've used since they were the age of 13, who are now in their mid-40s and still play the same type of picks. Or like me, who just haven't bothered thinking about the tonality, the playing differences, or the playability of the picks that you use. You know, there's a whole world of choice out there, and particularly for this experiment cost me a $5, and I now have a sure way forward in terms of the picks I use. I think as guitarists we get kind of stuck in routines, and I think sometimes it's good to just kind of shake things up, and also really be critical with how your equipment is helping you move forward. I think because picks aren't as expensive and as shiny as, say, for example, an overdrive pedal or an amp or something like that, or a new guitar, we don't tend to think about them. But they are equally as important as the guitar you play, as the amp you use, as the pedals you use. Same thing as the strings that you might use in your guitar, the electronics inside, everything that you use to get the sound out from your fingertips out of the speaker. It's all as important as each other. I'm really glad I kind of just went and on a whim experimented with this. There's a lot to be said for change. There's a lot to be said for improvement. There's a lot to be said for tradition. I'm just glad that after, 10 or so years of basically wondering why I'm so slow, it's not just because I'm terrible, but it's probably also a little bit because of the equipment I've been using. So hopefully going forward, I can now start to make some actual gains in my guitar playing, which will be nice. I think as guitarists, we kind of focus on the shiny, expensive bits, and we forget that sometimes it's literally as simple as the piece of plastic you hold in your fingers, and that can change all of your playing and suddenly make everything sound better. And all you spent is at most £2, probably more than likely about 50p. So yeah, I guess my takeaway from this is I need to be a bit more critical with the gear choices I make, down to the details of what I'm playing. So strings as well, I'm going to start looking at those next. Particularly with my 8-string, I need to change the gauges on that because they're too tight for tapping basically. So I'm going to start looking at that more critically as time goes on anyway. So yeah, so that's Surely the End Talks, the first of a growing series, so hopefully you enjoyed that. The next thing I'm planning to do, I guess, with the channel is just put more covers up, put more reviews up, and probably add to this as well. I think having 3 streams of content will actually help me balance out the workload a bit. I am doing this around a full-time job and also like a home life, so and ultimately this is fun. This is a fun thing for me to do. So yeah, hopefully at some point, there'll be more content for people to interact with and people can kind of have the conversation underneath the videos if they want to. So yeah, that's me for this week. You can like and subscribe if you fancy. All the buttons are down below and probably around here somewhere. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Surelytheend on both. So yeah, follow me and see my stuff, social media, etc. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so that's me for this week. Take care, and I will see you next week. Bye.